Jews. And we'll come back to all of this in just a moment. So we're thinking about who are the Jews. The first point that we want to examine is this, and that is that Israel is a land without a people. This is different from what we've heard. It is different from what is taught everywhere. We are taught consistently in all of our lives that the Jews are wandering people. They are people without a land. That is until 1948. But the truth is, Israel is a land without a people. So let's think about that for just a moment. I've had in my possession for the last 40 years, I suppose it is, this manuscript called Facts Are Facts by Dr. Benjamin Friedman. Benjamin Friedman was a Jewish scholar and a Jewish businessman, and in this manuscript, which is typed, this is an 85-page manuscript, it's just on typed notes. And in this manuscript, he's writing to Dr. Goldstein, and it's dated 1954. And here is Dr. Friedman's thesis. And he began by saying this: Jesus was not a Jew. When I first read that, I thought, what are you talking about? Jesus was not a Jew. I don't understand that. What do you mean Jesus was not a Jew? But as I began to read, I noted that he is using the word Jew in a different sense. And here's the idea, here's the thesis. And that is that the Jews of today do not trace their heritage back to the Jews of the Bible at all. But instead, they trace their heritage back to the kingdom of Khazaria to the 7th and 8th century AD, which was located in the steppes of Russia. That is, they're Ashkenazi Jews or Sephardic Jews, that is from Spain, but they all trace their origin back to the kingdom of the Khazars, and none of them, practically none, if there are any at all, trace their lineage back to the time of the Bible and biblical Judaism. So when we use the word Jew today, he points out, it is completely different than what was used in the Bible. Now that was a basic thesis. So when we use the word Jew today, he points out, it is completely different than what was used in the Bible. Now that was a basic thesis. And as I read through it, I noted that he quoted one historian after another historian after another. And as I began to dig through the histories that I could find, I found that he was exactly accurate. That is, that people who call themselves Jews today are not traceable to the seed of Abraham at all, but only are traceable to the kingdom of the Khazars. And what happened was that there was a king by the name of Bulan, and he was called the Kagan or Kagan, K-A-G-A-N, that would be the king. King Bulan was concerned about the immorality of the kingdom of Khazars over which he ruled. Therefore, he hired Pharisees, some of that which was left in the old country of Babylonia, Persia, and he hired them to come over and teach them Judaism in order that he might quell some of the immorality in the country, that they might learn to live better. And consequently, we have a national conversion into Judaism of the people of the Khazar kingdom. But they are not traceable at all to Abraham or the Jews of the Bible. Now, that's how he pointed it out. And he quotes one historian, as I said, after another to show that this is exactly what had happened. I thought this is an earth-shattering, an earth-shaking conclusion. But then as I began to cast about, I noted other historians and most of them all Jewish people saying the same exact thing. For example, this one's not a Jew, but this man is a British historian by the name of Chamberlain. At the end of the 19th century, he wrote a book, The Foundations of the 19th Century. He pointed out that Jews today are illegitimate. That is to say that they're not traceable, once again, to the Jews of the Bible. There is no heritage by blood at all. Not only so, but then there came this book in 1976. And it's written by Arthur Kiesler, who was a Zionist Jew. And here it is. Arthur Kiesler, in his book called The 13th Tribe, a Zionist Jew, writing, and he agrees perfectly with Benjamin Friedman by pointing out that all Jews today only go back to the kingdom of the Khazars, K-H-A-Z-A-R, kingdom of the Khazars, and have nothing to do with a Bible Jew. They all are converts. They're all proselytes from the Middle Ages. They're all proselytes from the Middle Ages. And he pointed that out. Now, Arthur Kiesler, as a matter of fact, was wanting in 1976 to give answer to the Hitlers of the world after we'd seen the great atrocities against the Jews in Germany. And so he wanted to give an answer to Hitler and all of those anti-Jewish people. But what happened was that his book caused a tremendous backlash among his fellow Jews because he let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. Here are some of the statements that he makes. Number one, he said the bulk of modern Jewry is not of Palestinian, but of Caucasian origin. Number one, he said the bulk of modern Jewry is not of Palestinian, but of Caucasian origin. Their ancestors came not from the Jordan River, but from the Volga. That would be the river valley in Russia. Not from Canaan, but from the Caucasus Mountains.